Welcome to Whachacha's Tabletop World, channel devoted to the love of board gaming. My name is Sweetness Whachacha, and these are my thoughts on DULCE. If you'd like to see a brief overview, click on the link on the screen or below. The components in art are fine for a small and inexpensive game. The chicken meeples I like, the little meeples are cool, the art on the cafes is good, and pretty much everything is as you would expect for a game of this weight. I will note that the rings on the cafes, which much of the gameplay revolves around, are fairly small and they're not a high contrast on the colors, so if you have trouble seeing small detail or differentiating colors, this might not be the game for you. DULCE is easy to learn and easy to play. Setup is simple, it has some player aids, very easy. Now, speaking of easy, it's very easy to cheat. I noticed when you're chaining your actions and things, it seems like you could inadvertently make a mistake. I have my little cheat there that I showed where I kind of slide the cubes to one side and then score it, and then I know that once they come off that card, they're done. It does seem very, very easy, though, to make a mistake in this game, whether or not you intend to. I wonder if it might have been better to have larger cubes that turn into smaller cubes, although for this kind of a weight of a game, that probably would have been very cost prohibitive. DULCE seems infinitely replayable, just in terms of the cards have so many combinations that they can come out in, so you're playing essentially the same game, but the puzzle will change from game to game. Now, the theme is what really drew me into this game. My wife, she tempers and makes chocolates. She's in fact doing it right now in the other room as I'm recording this. But I don't really feel like while I'm playing this, I'm making desserts. I feel like I'm moving cubes around and chaining actions. And as you're playing, and I tend to do this as a player, as you kind of get faster and faster, especially while playing solo. And you don't really kind of look at the names of the cafes that you're using. You're predominantly looking just at the rings and the ingredients because you're trying to move your cubes to chain those actions together. Which is a shame, because I love uncommon themes, and this isn't a theme that you see all that often. I do, however, like the theme with the chicken. My friends have chickens. I've got a number of friends who have chickens, and they eat everything. They eat scraps. There's always bringing things home for the chickens, so I like the fact that they just eat whatever is out there, and they make little eggs. It's cool. The game is pretty simple, but it does provide a nice puzzle. I absolutely love engine building games, and I did enjoy the crunchiness of making this game work and trying to score the most points. This game does remind me of a more recent game that I played, Furnace, although that game is much more involved and there's much more thematically going on. There's a lot more. This is a much, much lighter game than Furnace, but it does provide a little bit sliver of that similarity in the engine building aspect to it. So this game has zero interaction with any players. Like, you cannot affect another player and they cannot affect you. In that way, it really feels a lot like a roll and write game to me. If you had enough copies of this, you could just play like a 50-player, 60-player game of it. It also has a little bit of a vibe like a mobile game, like a phone app kind of a game. I don't know why, but it kind of has that same, it's that same wheelhouse for me. When Pandemic, the game first came out, I remember they had these, these scenarios that you could play, and so everybody would be starting in the same spot and be able to play from there. And I feel like this game could have something like that, where it gave you some, specific deck layout or whatever, or they gave you a few extra rules or something like that. I feel like there's some room. I don't think this game will ever get an expansion. I could be wrong, but it seems like that would have been kind of like a fairly easy thing to add in there to add a little bit of interest in there, and a little bit more variety. Now, I'm always looking for events and things and extra things to do and movies to watch with games and food to eat and stuff like that. And I think this could be kind of a cool little gaming double feature where you played the Azul Chocolatiers edition and DULCE. Both are very approachable to a wide audience, so that could be kind of a fun thing. And then also have a little chocolate tasting before, after, and during. So I think that's kind of an extra little interesting thing you can do. So for me, this is a short, fun little filler. It's hard to say after you play a game and to think like, I should have done this differently, or I made a mistake here. It really is difficult to improve, I guess. It's hard for me to see how you would improve, but the game is fun to play in that capacity. So that's DULCE. A fast, fun little filler, very easy to set up, quick to play, easy to learn. Hopefully this review helped you decide whether or not this game is for you. If you haven't seen my overview and would like to, there's a link to that brief video down below. Now, I gotta roll.